They mightn't always have looked like this, but electric cars were actually running around the streets of London and New York more than a century ago. But then along came internal combustion with its superior range and performance, and the electric car died a death. Well, now it's back. We've seen the likes of Tesla and Nissan with their electric cars, and now it's BMW's turn. And the question is, has BMW built an electric car that is a viable everyday proposition? The i3 is part of a sub-brand of electric BMWs. But while it might be appealing for its low running cost and environmental credentials, the question is, can it address range anxiety? That being, of course, the fear of running out of juice before you get to where you want to go. Now, to test the range of the i3, we're going to go to the coast. It's saying here that Folkestone is 60 miles away, and we have on the electric only range 49 miles. So whether or not we'll make it, I don't know. We'll give it a go. I've got the aircon running. I'm going to switch my lights on as well. And you know, we might even get a bit of rain. We can put the wipers on. And these are all things that reduce the range of an electric car. And therefore they're all barriers that electric cars need to be able to overcome. I've got two screens. One is a speedo directly ahead of me, and it also shows my range. And then I've got this big screen here for Sat-Nav, audio functions and everything else. I wouldn't say it feels like a traditional BMW, but it certainly feels like a high quality item. It's a really interesting car to drive. The throttle response is absolutely fantastic. It gives you everything from 0 revs basically. So BMW actually says from 0 to 30 miles an hour, this is faster than their M3 V8 supercar. Now I just want to show you around this car quickly, because although it's a super mini in size, it's actually got some really cool bits of technology. Take, for example, this carbon fibre passenger cell. Carbon fibre is really only used on supercars, but they've used it to keep the whole car nice and light, and it also means it's very strong, which means you can have these fantastic coach doors, which just makes it nice and easy to get in and out of the back. Now, the motor itself is under the boot floor, and that means the boot is quite small. But it is a 170 horsepower motor, so it's kind of like warm hatch performance. It's quite a quick little car. It's actually got a 50-50 weight distribution, so it's actually really good fun to drive. The steering's really pointy. But it's really the design of the thing, and it just looks the business. Now, before we set off, there is just one extra feature of this BMW Sat-Nav which I'd like to show you. To do that, I switch on here, I get my nav, and I move down, and in the map views, as well as 2D and 3D, it's got one that shows you the electric range, and it brings up a bubble around where you are, which will just show you how far you can go with the charge you've got at the moment. Interestingly, Folkestone is not covered in our bubble. We're back on the motorway now, and as you might be able to hear, if it's actually throwing down cats and dogs, it's really going for it. So we've got the wipers on, got the lights on, and a combination of all of this means that the range now is actually only showing 4 miles. Folkestone is 19 miles away, which would give me range anxiety were it not for one thing, and that is that we are driving the range extended i3. So alongside the electric motor in the back is a 650cc motorcycle engine, so it gives you about another 40 miles of range, and that means we can get to Folkestone. Well, I'm pleased to say we have made it to Folkestone, but we did need the range extender, and I was actually a little bit disappointed about that, because BMW says that this will do about 80 miles on electric only range, whereas we got about 65 before the little motorcycle engine cut in. But it's a really good fun thing to drive. I have to say, it's very refined. For a super mini, it just feels really nice and solid. But we did set out with the question of whether it was a viable everyday proposition. I think if you live in the city and you occasionally go a bit further, yeah, you'd be fine with one of these. It's horses for courses really, and BMW, to be fair, does admit that. But what this car does represent is actually quite a big step forward for electric cars, if for no other reason than it's really, really desirable. If you live in the city and you want to be an early adopter, it's a really smashing little thing.